I would like to warmly welcome you all to today's webinar on best practice in promoting gender equity in science and technology in higher education institutions. And today we will hear from the institutions that have been actively developing policy, strategy, and initiative to create a more inclusive and gender equitable academic environment. So the sequence of the speaker for today's webinar is as follows. We will start with Professor Dr. Tomoko Iwata, the Vice President from Shibaura Universities, and then followed by Dr. Martina Gaisch, the researcher on higher education, program manager, and long-standing diversity manager from the University of Applied Science, Upper Austria. Then we will hear from Dr. Pinet Sriyotha from the King Mongkut University of Technology, Thonburi, Thailand. Professor Pinet is the Associate Dean for Quality Assurance at the Faculty of Engineering. And lastly, we will hear from Professor Uduak Archibong. She is the Vice-Chancellor for Equality, Diversity, and Inclusion Professor of Diversities. So before we continue, I just want to give you a quick reminder about today's Q&A section. So today's Q&A section will take place after the final presentation of the panelists. However, all participants are welcome to leave questions in the chat box at any time throughout the sections, and we will collect them and relay the question to our moderator during the Q&A section at the end of today's section. So before we begin the presentations, it's my great pleasure to introduce our moderator for today's webinar, Assistant Professor Dr. Romyen Kosaikanont, the Vice President of Mae Fah Luang University of Thailand and also the former Center Director of Simeo Raihet. Dr. Romyen has led major regional initiatives in higher education, especially in leadership development, mobilities, and policy dialogue for equitable and sustainable growth. One of the highlight flagship projects of Dr. Romyen is the Higher Education Leadership of Good Governance on Gender Equity, Diversity, and Inclusivity, supported by the British Council, and the outcome of the white paper has been endorsed by the Simeo Council meeting in 2024. Dr. Romyen is also a feminist economist and introduced Thailand's first bachelor-level gender economic course. She recent research on inclusive toilet design has been adopted by the government agency in Thailand. So with her expertise in regional experience and strong dedication to gender equities, Dr. Romyen is exceptionally well placed to guide this today discussion. So please join me in welcoming Assistant Professor Dr. Romyen Kosaikanont. So Professor, the floor is now yours.
Thank you very much, Kun Bia, and good day to all of us, wherever you are logging in from. So welcome to the WTUN Gender Equity Workshop. And I would like to first congratulate you and also happy International Women's Day, because I know that you decided to do this workshop because of the 8th of March. But of course, it's not the only day that we are celebrating the Women's Day, but the Women's Day is every day. But then today, I think because of what we are going to be discussing about, I would like to cite some statistic. On the 6th of February this year, UNESCO has launched the statistics. And it says that 35% of STEM graduate are women. What it means is that we are still having a lot of gaps, that, we have to fill. That's one. UNESCO also mentioned that actually the pain point for us is still the limit participation, which is caused by the gender stereotype and also the access to the quality education. On the positive side, we also see a lot of positive push in many ways. One is to strengthen the teachers' training, advances mentorship, and also role model. We also have a lot of inclusive education policies, supporting community-based interventions, and we are celebrating women scientists as well. So all of this you have witnessed. But then how many of that is contributing to the advancement of women in STEM is another question, and it's still a way to go as well. So today we have great panelists with us, four of us, as Kundia has already briefly introduced. But then what I wanted to highlight is something that Kundia hasn't mentioned. So Professor Dr. Tomoko Iwata, she is the Vice President of Shibaura Institute of Technology, but she is also herself an engineer, a female energy system engineer. And she engaged in the university leadership as well. So I think both roles are very crucial for women. And she has led so many policy initiatives. She has been the director of Office for SDG promotion at SIT, where she promotes institutional strategies to foster inclusive education, global engagement, and social impact. So I think we would take about 10 to 12 minutes to listen to what she has been doing, and maybe we can pick up some good practices so that we can apply it in our own context. So I would like to invite Professor Iwata. The floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much for inviting me. So this is the first time to join this event. Thank you very much for inviting. So I will share my slides from now. Yeah, can you see these slides? Okay. So again, my name is Tomoko Iwata, Vice President of Shibaura Institute of Technology in Japan. And it's my great pleasure to share with you all our initiatives to advance gender equity in engineering education in Japan. So today, I will introduce our university mission, our strategic actions, and the impact we are beginning to see through the data and stakeholder feedback. So at Shibaura Institute of Technology, we strongly believe that the innovation is created from the diversity. So our educational mission is to foster global engineers who learn from the world and contribute to the society. As we approach our 100th anniversary in 2027, promoting diversity, especially gender equity in engineering, has become one of our highest priorities. So let me briefly introduce our university first. So we are a specialized engineering institution with about 9,800 students and over 300 academic staff members. And we emphasize global education, close collaboration with industry, and practical engineering learning environments. So in recent years, we have seen steady progress in gender diversity among our students. In 2025, the promotion of female freshmen reached a record high of 27.8%, and the overall female student ratio among undergraduate students also reached an all-time high of 23.7%. So our institutional target is to reach 30% by 2027. So it's very close, but not reached yet. So it's our 2 years later goal. But however, when we see the national context about the gender equity, in Japan, as you see, the promotion of female students in engineering remains significantly lower level than in many OECD countries like this. So this shortage of female engineering talent is not only an educational issue, but also a social challenge in Japan. Moreover, across academic fields in Japan like this. So the literature is very small, but in the middle graph shows the engineering, the female ratio in engineering field. But engineering and natural science continue to have some of the lowest female participation rates like this. So this is why the university must take proactive and strategic action. One important strategy in our university has been admissions reform like this. So there is 4 points. The first one is the admission scheme change. So since 2018, we have implemented a female-targeted admissions scheme to actively encourage more women to apply. So this figure shows the female applicants trends. So since 2018, this scheme has begun, but exactly the recent years, this scheme is a little bit famous in the Japanese high school female students. So the number of applicants is increased like this. And the second strategy is the collaboration with several all-girls high schools and offer summer internship opportunities that allow high school girls to experience engineering research firsthand in our university. So this photo shows the summer internship at last year. So this kind of first step education for junior high school student and high school student is very important to make them have the curiosity on the engineering field. And the last one is the mini open campus event. So, So in addition, we organized the women-only mini open campus events in the summer season. So these events attract hundreds of students and parents. It's very important point. So in Japanese society, not only the students themselves, but their parents' enjoyment to this kind of event is very important to change their mind. So this event collect hundreds of students and parents each year and helps them better understanding the possibilities of engineering education. And these are outreach initiatives are designed not only to increase the applicants, but also to build the confidence and motivation among young women before they enter our university. So the creating opportunity, so to creating opportunity to interact with faculty members. So this figure shows our university's female student. So the opportunity to talk with our faculty members and current student is very effective in reducing psychological barriers to environmental fields. And not only about this kind of admissions strategy, but scholarship is also another essential point. So we provide the entrance scholarship for high achieving female applicants, as well as this dedicated scholarship at the master's and doctoral level like this. At the same time, we recognize the importance of visible role models. So we have therefore ensured that every academic department in our university includes at least one female faculty member. So this figure shows this one. But the percentage of female teacher is only 18%. It's a relatively lower level compared to the other countries. But in Japan, this 80% is not so low. It's better than average, actually. And in addition, our alumni, the alumni mentors for current students create the new network. It is called as Shibajo Prachna Network to give the current student about more detailed future work in engineering side. And the last slide is a result of a female freshman survey. So listening to student voices is also crucial to achieve this goal. So survey results show that the female students value inclusive learning environments and the visibility of successful female faculty members and alumni. So this figure shows the preference to enter our university. The first prize is, of course, the availability of desired measure or program, of course. And the second priority is a high employment ratio, because from our university, it's relatively easy to working at famous big companies. So these two reasons is the highest price level, but when we can see the this lower result, you can see the clean campus facilities or higher proportion of female students, easy access to campus from home, or success female faculty and alumni member. And the gender inclusive learning environment is also push them to enter this kind of engineering university. So we totally encourage the girls, especially, to join this environmental engineering field. So we developed this kind of website for female high school students like this. Then we hope they can imagine easily about their future in engineering field like this. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Iwata. That was really inspiring. So I think I would like to pick some of the highlights. One is that the philosophy of the institute, which is, you believe in diversity that create the innovations. So that's one. I think secondly, we have to be reminded that the gender is a social and cultural constructions. So even when you are in the OECD, there are diversity in terms of the female participations in also STEM. And I think it's really good to learn that you have so many good practices that we can pick and choose. I think I would like to highlight 5 of them. One is the admission reform, which I think is very interesting because you actually identify where the girls are, where the females are. So you have your own program of, the female targeted admission. You have collaboration with the girls' schools. You have the mini campus so that they get the exposure. Special scholarship, you have the role model, you are creating the network. So you see everything as a journey. And even having the website so that they can park their ideas or seek a consultation. So that was excellent. Thank you very much. Now I move on to the second speaker. I would like to introduce, thank you very much, Professor Iwata. So second speaker is, and I'm really excited to introduce her. She's Professor Martina Gaisch. So I would introduce that something that is different and you probably don't know of. I have read her article before. So she is a person who come up with the head view, and I believe that she would talk about that as well. So head view is the concept that apply to higher education setting for diversity and inclusivity. So without further ado, I think we should dive into that. So the floor is yours, please. Professor Gaisch.
Thank you very much. So, yes, thank you very much for the introduction and very interesting, Professor Iwata. It was really, I was eager to listen to that. I'm going to dive into Austria. Austria and our university has around 6,000 students. We are at the heart between Salzburg and Vienna. And it's a university with 4 different faculties. We have IT, we have engineering, we have social sciences, and we have a business school. And you know, when you talk about gender diversity, you might know that you need to address people very differently, very much depending on what disciplinary background they have. So what we did in order to approach them, we conceived what we call the head wheel. Head wheel stands for Higher Education Awareness for Diversity. And what we did is we depicted diversity and gender, of course, at different levels. So at demographic, cognitive, disciplinary, functional, and institutional level. And we depicted it in a way that it is all-inclusive, it's intersectional, and it doesn't have any designated access point. I'm going to run you quickly over what we mean by that. So when you think of demographic diversity, and I think that's the entry point for every discussion in terms of diversity, gender-related issues, it's mostly about age, it's about gender, it's about sexual orientation, it's about disabilities, it's about race and ethnicity, religion, and in Austria, the discussion about socioeconomic background is a very huge one that was driving the rationale for many years. So all those demographic diversity facets, they have a clear anti-discrimination approach, and we by law are not allowed to discriminate anyone against that. If you look at gender, gender is, if you want to, a interdisciplinary facet that really touches all these aspects. At our university, we very clearly came to the conclusion that equality is nice, so to give everybody the same, but it's not needed. What is needed, and I think we all know, is equity, that those that need more of a support structure should give them the support structure more. So to zoom in, I would like to quickly show you. So Hagenberg, the first one, is our IT school. So in our IT school, and that clearly represents the IT distribution in our country, we have 18% of females in IT, which is also a European number, around 18%. At our campus, however, and that will come later with the students, we succeeded something that is really nice. So, but when it comes to faculty, or if you want to executive positions, we just unfortunately only have 17. Linz, on the other hand, and you see this is a clear display again, we have these social sciences, social work, you have more or less 50% women. Wels, which is surprisingly well, because we have our engineering school there and we have around 30% of females. And Steyr, sorry, I left Steyr, also our business school, that is around a third of females in the faculty. But then again, I say, you know, there are a lot of marketing, HR topics, which by tradition are often female. So we could do more there as well. When it comes to the share of our students, you see 82% in social sciences, female. You have the engineering around 30%. You have business, which is more, it's around 56%, so more than half female. And when it comes to engineering together, so when you look at below the campuses, you will see Hagenberg, the IT campus, where normally there are only 18% of females, we have 35% females. And one of the reasons why we have so many is that we really approach them targetedly. So 5 years ago, I conceived a program entirely targeted for women. We did not say it's for women, but I changed the didactical design. I brought in many more female teachers. I changed the wording. I changed the surroundings, which basically came to the fact that we now have a 80 to 90% female intake, which is really great and brought us this reputation of being very inclusive. Then we like to say that there is this, what we say, cognitive diversity. Cognitive diversity basically means that we have different value and knowledge structure, very much depending on where we are brought up. I also teach intercultural communication. So of course, if you come from an Asian background or from Africa, you might have very different values, knowledge structure, way of solving problems, communication structures, and so on. And that also often depicts in the gender way of how we behave, right? There are expected gender roles that display in our societal expectations. So if you look at cognitive diversity, then you see again in Steyr, business, 56 females, social science, 82 females. Also, these faculties have a very different culture, a very different way of displaying their values and knowledge structure, their learning strategies, and so on. Less masculine approach, whereas I just come from a meeting with my peers and I'm the only woman out of 22 degree programs. So here I am with 21 program developers, and that of course makes something. It's a different cultural. If there are more, and I couldn't agree with Professor Iwata more, that it makes sense to have females in the faculty and in the degree programs. The next one that we are outlined is what we call disciplinary diversity. And I think you all know the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And it's clearly said that we cannot solve the SDGs with one discipline alone. The so-called wicked problems or grand challenges, they need to be solved together with different disciplines, with different genders, with different approaches, with different, interdisciplinary work. And therefore, I often say, when it comes to the SDG 5, which is gender equality, or also SDG 4, where I do a lot of research, which is the quality education for all, then of course we need to take women on board, and we try to really also, when it comes to teaching, emphasize these SDGs a lot. Another segment or another part of our head wheel is the functional diversity. I'm going to explain to you quickly what we mean by that. We just think it is very helpful if we wear different hats within our university. So not just be, one professor in this one faculty forever, not knowing anything about the needs, requirements of, administration, of different faculties, of different, the more you know and actually take on multiple tasks, the more you will also understand the perspective of the other. And so we think that functional diversity is just something that can be encouraged also for women very often, because what we realized is the confidence gap, so that women very often shy away from taking on specific roles or feel that they are not proficient enough. So the more we encourage them to take on multiple roles, be it when it comes to our students, also be tutor or assistant or work as researcher or be class representatives, whatever. So this thinking outside the box, outside of your traditional roles, encouraged to take on different perspectives. That is what we understand by functional diversity. What different hats do you wear? Take on a new one to see. This is often these trainee programs that are, I think, that need to be encouraged and are very, very helpful to actually shed light on different aspects. And then, of course, institutional diversity. We encourage our students very much so to go abroad, either when we have a compulsory internship and we ask our students to do the internship in a different country, go abroad, exchange, do something. And then in our 5th and 6th semester, our students are also encouraged to study abroad. So we now have a number of students that want to go to Japan, to Asia, that really look forward to exploring the world. And given that, especially in my degree program, I have 90% of females, I encourage them even more. I lived 4 or 5 years abroad in different countries and studied abroad, and it burns, you can really serve as a role model to encourage them to experience something outside their normal day-to-day student life. So to also have this institutional diversity amongst females is, on the one hand, to learn from each other, to exchange good, but maybe also bad practice, then also to understand what is challenging at the different setting and so on. But I think especially this confidence gap that lurks so deeply within females needs to be done away with by encouraging them to be more open. And to end up, I would like to conclude with the slide that I like so much. I always say diversity is being invited to the party, but inclusion is being asked to dance. And it's not enough just to have faculty that 3 women and 10 men or whatever. It's about inclusion. It's about also power. Who has the power to say something? Who is, there is this repeating, so you kind of say something that somebody else said, and then you are taken more seriously. So all those things that are kind of really important to have this power dynamics to also understand that. So these are my references. If anybody is interested, we have this international paper, Diversity Management at the Tertiary Level, and that's the paper number 3, where we outline the head wheel even more clearly. So if you're interested in a follow-up, feel free to watch it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Gaisch. So I already told you that she is very inspiring with her presentation. So I believe that you wouldn't mind us sharing the PowerPoint presentation to the audience, so that you can also retrieve all the papers, just in case you wanna learn more about that. But I think key highlights. One thing that you have in common with Professor Iwata is that global education in your term is Go Abroad program is very crucial. It's quite instrumental to make change happen. And we all of us should lead as a role model as well. That's one. I think it's also very important to remind us, in your case of comparison from the disciplines, that there are still some feminization of some certain disciplines, and there are gaps to be bridged. At the same time, there are some work that we have to do, and I would like to put it in one word, which is ecosystem. We need to create the ecosystem that is good, so that people feel that they can dance in the party, not just being counted as part of the institutions. So thank you so much, Professor Gaisch. And if you have any questions, please drop in the questions in the chat box, and we can pick up those questions afterwards. But now next, I have a very great honor to welcome the third speaker in our panel, Professor Pinet Sriyotha. He's the only gentleman in this panel, but I'm really excited to listen to him. He is the Associate Dean for Planning and Quality Assurance. He's been doing that for a long time, I believe. He's from the Department of Production Engineering from KMUTT. I would like to actually hear more of what he has to say, because I know that KMUTT has a great policy as well. So I would like to give the floor to you, Professor Pinet. When you're ready, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay.
We still don't, yeah, okay. I think it's about to be coming right.
I'm sorry. I think you're still sharing.
Professor Gaisch,
Professor Gaisch,
if
I think you're
would
still
you
sharing your
please
screen.
kindly, yeah, stop sharing the screen, please. Sorry.
Okay.
I think that's good. Thank you.
Did it work?
Yes,
Yep.
that works.
It's
Thank
okay
you.
now.
Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hi. My name is Pinet. I'm from King Mongkut's University of Technology, Thonburi in Thailand. We're mainly engineering and science and technology university. Like most of our schools are in, yeah, we have engineering school, we have technology education school, we have IT and science. So pretty much all engineering and science things. And today I'd like to talk a little bit about my university and our, gender ed equity practice. Just share just a short presentation here. Um, there are three dimensions that we looked at. One is the governance and policy level, and the other one is how to use like technology and data to help monitoring the status that we have. And the third one is just the support that we provide um, as far as gender equity is concerned. Um, the governance and the policy level, in 2021, we have the presidential mandate that ensure our community members be treated with equal dignity, regardless of their gender identity, sexual orientation, or background. And then in a year later, in 2022, we have transgender protection that we have the identity protection in the HR management policy, positioning us as a leader in the LGBTQ plus support. And also, we have the anti-retaliation framework included in our code of conduct too, to ensuring that reporting discrimination never results in academic or career disadvantage. So this is as far as the policy level is concerned. And then the second dimension is to use technology and data to help us monitor the status. We have the Student Insight Hub, which is a real-time data dashboard that tracks the applications and acceptance rates of female students. So we can monitor and make sure that there's no bias-free admission. And also we have another thing called ModLink, digital tracking. A mod is an ant, and it's like a mascot for our university. That's why it's called ModLink. It's a platform that helps us to monitor the retention and progression of women. So with these tools, they're like tools that we can use to monitor the status. We can make sure that the female completion rates remain high in traditionally engineering disciplines. So yeah, we have policy, we have tools, and then we have some supports. It might not be as much as other place, but we still have some supports. For example, we have like childcare center to help take care of children from age of 6 months to 3.5 years, and also of course, we have maternity leaves for 120 days. That's probably standards, but at least we have the child care center. So our students and the faculty members, as far as our and as well as our staff, they can just, you know, can work with how do I say this? I'm not sure, but they don't have to worry too much about raising the kid because their children are right there on campus with them. They can come visit, and we can take care of them too. So that's the three dimensions that we have. As far as statistics is concerned, um, we have about 43% students, female students, which is pretty high as far as engineering school is concerned. I think this is a big ratio here. So I mean, I'm proud of this. I'm not sure about. I don't have like a benchmark somewhere that I can't tell if this is good or not. But I think we're doing pretty good as far as ratio of females. And as far as like student activities, these are leaderships and student activities. We have executive boards of the student council and the faculty student council executive boards. We have these two leaderships. And look at the female. Female is shown on the right in the yellow, and you can see the ratio between male and females are pretty close. So as far as our students are concerned, the female student is very active in leadership roles. Yep. And as far as staff, we have academic staff and we have the professional staff. The ratio for academic staff, we have about 2-to-1 ratio, 2 males and 1 female. And that's pretty high too, as far as because we're engineering school. And for professional staff, we have more female than male. And as far as like leadership positions in our university, male is shown in black and female is shown in orange here. You can see that the ratio is about 2-to-1 ratio. So out of 123 positions in our school, 79 are males and 44 are female. And this is for academic positions. The females shown on the right. I mean, we still have some room to improve here, but I think the ratio is pretty good. And as far as the female ratio, if you look at the bottom for the entry level, there are a lot of female coming in, and I think in the future there'll be more. So it looks pretty good. Of course, if you look in detail, some of the department we still mainly male-dominated department like mechanical engineering. But I mean, it's okay. There are a lot of males in mechanical engineering, and probably we have something to we have some room to improve here. But it's not like this for the whole faculty. Like some departments, for example, like chemical engineering, we have more female than male. So overall, it's pretty. I think we're working towards having more female students and female academic staff and professional staff in our university. And as far as being engineering schools concerned, I think we're doing pretty good and we're progressing in the right direction. But of course, if you have any suggestion or something, I'd like to hear. And this is about. I'm really proud to be here. I'm not proud. Let's say I'm honored. I'm sorry, English is not my first language, but I'm honored to be here to be talking about my school and the way the direction is progressing. And thank you for letting us share our maturity might not be as great as yours, the first two presentation, but we're working on it. We're working hard, and we think this is very important issue. So thank you very much.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much, Professor Pinet, for your presentation. And you should be proud because I think one of the one of the challenge for people working for gender equity and diversity and inclusion is the statistics. We always face that issues. And lots of times they say, we want to have a fact-based policy that is built from the data. So I think you have done a great job in terms of collecting the data. And I have to say, as mentioned, gender is social constructions. So you would see, you cited 43 female students in your student population, which is quite high. And comparing to Southeast Asia, I think it's only Thailand and the Philippines. That the number is over the average. But the remaining, I think, the remaining countries, we still have a lot to work on. And I think also it's interesting for you to highlight that you start with the regulations, the policy on the top level, and you're cascading it down. I think that's a very good start as well to show that your university is pushing for something. And, I learned from so many countries as well that having structural support like the child care support is very good for the families, not just the female. Sometimes the male staff also wanted to have the child support as well, child care support as well. So I think that's great to learn from you. Interpreting the data is another step forward. So, but at least we have the data there. Now, thank you so much, Professor Pinet, and we'll come back for your questions later on. Now, I would like to move on to our fourth panelist, Professor Uduak Archibong. She is the Vice-Chancellor for Equality, Diversity, and Inclusion from Bradford University. I'm really excited to introduce you, reading your CV. She's the first ever female no, not female, but of course, she happens to be female, but UK first professor of diversity with cross-disciplinary institution-wide remit in 2004. And at Bradford, she's been driving diversity management, cultural capability, and systemic approaches to equity. So we are very eager to learn from you. And also, you are driving the university's EDI strategy. And you receive so many awards, for your leadership. So with this, I hand the floor to you, please. Professor Archibong.
Right, okay. Let me just check if you can see my screen.
We can see your screen clearly.
Excellent.
Your voice is good.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really sorry to be joining you so late. I've had to have about 3-4 hours travel to get to where I am now. I could have said no to this, but I couldn't say no to Denise. So that's why I'm here. I'm going to really swiftly talk you through what I see as gender equity at the University of Bradford. I think in terms of the context, our mission and strategic context is very, very clear. University of Bradford is the place to be to see social inclusion and social mobility in action in the UK. We are known for our widening participation programs, and there's something about Bradford. People say this all the time. When you come to Bradford, we will improve your life chances. So these are very useful strategic contracts that helps in our work. We do have many strategies, and our gender work is embedded through our generic EDI strategy and participation, and we are involved in a lot of national equality programs like the Athena's one, Access and Participation Plan. We have some strategic priorities around student first, looking at a university that works, and we embed our gender equity work within all those, including our research and mobilization program. We have institutional policies that promote family-friendly practices and many other policies that help us to hone in on our gender equity work. Our institutional infrastructure is very conducive for our gender work. So we have the Center for Inclusion and Diversity, which I direct, and we adopt a very, very holistic approach to equity and diversity work. We have a role, in my role, Pro-Vice-Chancellor for Equality, Diversity and Inclusion, and all I do is to make sure that University of Bradford is the inclusive place that we say we are. We run a lot of equality staff networks, and these networks help us, they challenge us, they hold the university leaders to account. So we have Gender Forum, Carers Network. We have people who have come together to really promote work around menopause and other reproductive health initiatives. Leadership in gender equity research through initiatives like Genovate. We led a massive European Commission project on RING standing for Responsible Research and Innovation Networked Globally. Again, we also have regulatory requirements from Office for Students expecting us to comply with gender equity related work. So the E6 conditions, for example, is the work that we must do to address sexual misconduct, harassment in all higher education institutions. And we have a regulatory mandate which says if you don't do well, it affects your funding and so on. So let me just give you a bigger picture. So I did say that our gender equity is embedded within our equality, diversity, and inclusion strategy. Our EDI vision is to be recognized as that place where transformational diversity, inclusion is anchored in everything that we do. And we use intersectionality as the basis for delivering our gender equity work. So in this diagram, you will see that we have enablers that actually push us as a university to think about how we deliver on our values of inclusion. So there are three arms to our strategy. It's about a culture of equality and outcomes. So when people come to Bradford, they know we will treat them equally. And we make our diversity count. So I'll give you some data, but there's no point having the data if you don't really make that diversity count. And lastly, once you get into Bradford, we have to enable a climate of inclusion. So our strategy, our equality, diversity, and inclusion strategy is I'd say the blueprint that we deliver our gender equity. We had some work through the Office for Students, really looking at key institutions in the UK that have a holistic approach to equality and diversity. And Bradford University was seen as one of those 6 top institutions that have a holistic approach to delivering on inclusion. And these were the things they saw when they came to Bradford. We were visited, we had different meetings, that we have a whole institution pipeline planning. So we're not just looking at people who arrive, we also look at how do we keep people in, how do we ensure that when you are in Bradford, your experience is sound. We embed EDI consistently. We have inclusive curriculum design, we engage our staff and we involve our stakeholders, and we use data to really inform our approach to EDI work. So in terms of our facts and figures, I think we are very proud. I know that you were a bit reluctant to use the word proud, but in Bradford, we don't shy away from saying we are very proud of our gender equity in the student body. So 54.4% of our students are female. Now, this is from last year's data. From what I know now, and I think we are getting very close to 55%. We hold Athena Swan Bronze Awards, not only at institutional level, but all faculties and schools within the university hold Athena Swan Award. Athena Swan Award helps you to really think proactively about how you embed gender equity mindset in everything that you do. So we have gender balance on our decision committees. We are working on it because you may know that many universities in the UK have got a lot of transformation program to promote more efficiencies in the work that we do because of the financial challenge we face. So at the moment, we are gender balanced in majority, the Senate, the Council of the University, the executive team, but we will repeat our data analysis after the transformation program. And I do know that there will be changes because we've embedded equality impact analysis into our transformation. So we know that there are challenges already. So for example, in our workforce at the moment, 48.6% of our workforce, academic workforce, are women. And I'm not proud to say this, but I think the transformation may affect that number. So hopefully it won't be that bad. 61% of our professional and support staff are women. In terms of representation in senior grades, so at the university, grade 11 and above are senior grades. Last year's analysis shows that 27% of people in academic senior roles are women. We set ourselves a target of 35% by the end of this academic year. I'm not sure we'll meet it, but let's see what happens. Our analysis is already seeing that the transformational change is affecting women more in those high roles. So by the time we look at our data, about end of August, they may be different, but at the moment, the data shows 27%. In terms of professional and support senior leadership, 47% are women. We do have gender pay gap. This is something that the government expects us to send in data on. And at the moment, the mean gender pay gap is 13.4% and median gender pay gap is 17.2%. In terms of how we compare with HE sector, higher education sector, we are not bad. But as a university that wants to do more, we don't want to rest on this. So the gap is between 10 and 20%, and we're at 17.2%, the median gap. But we don't want to stick there. So we're doing a lot of work to look at our data, but above all, put initiatives in place to help us to address this gap. These, in a nutshell, are the kinds of activities that we engage in as part of our EDI work. Looks really busy, and that's how busy we are. A few of these are specific gender programs, but a lot of them are more intersectional. So for example, a program like Can You Hear Me? We run listening events on a regular basis so that people can talk to us. We have specific one for gender, but most times it's a generic thing where we get into different corners of the university and ask people, what does it feel like to be a woman in this university? What are the implications for you of the new policies that we've designed? So just very specific examples here. We are charting our progress through work like Genovate, which was a 3.2 million funded project by the European Commission. And some of those principles have now been embedded in the work that we do through Athena Swan. We have visible involved leadership through programs like Leadership Connect, where we connect our leaders with our students and staff who live the experience. So we pair men and women to learn on a regular basis. We draw on widest pool of voices. I've already mentioned equality networks. We embed EDI and co-producing solutions in everything that we do. We have very targeted sponsored program to help everybody to be involved in our gender equity work. We enhance EDI capability through training, through the work we do on equality analysis, and we continue to run ongoing evaluation to make sure that we are learning and embedding as we go along. On the sides, just another photo, which is very, very interesting. When you come into our atrium, we try to make our women professors visible. So we have a wall that celebrates women professors. And I am always proud to see how, especially women students, congregate around that, because what you see, you can be. So they stand there, they look around, and they think, well, there is hope. So we do have that wall in the university. It's very visible. I think I will come back to these later, hopefully. One of the things that we need to really think through is how do we take actions at all levels. So we look at individual actions, but more importantly for us is looking at structural actions and actions that help us to address cultural inequities. And they're all on this slide. Using a whole systems approach means there has to be visible commitments, collaboration, communication, confirmation of what you're doing, celebrating as you go along, but ensuring that you have a culture of continuous improvement. And one of the things that we say to ourselves and others is that there has to be accountability. And we put our staff and students in places where they demand accountability. And one of the things that I say to the university, we do not continue to paper over cracks. We need to start thinking how we dismantle discrimination and structural inequities. So example, the work we're doing around gender-based violence, we are saying it's not just about mending corners, it's how we identify the problem, dismantle the structural inequities, and putting things in place to build back. So in conclusion, gender inclusion is not an additional priority. It is how high-performing universities operate. It is about embedding culture and inclusion in everything that we do so that it gives us the confidence as an institution that has huge values around inclusion, trust. And I think when we do this right, we will see that we are allowing people to feel confident in being with us. We appreciate every member of our university community. We value them and we include them in all the decisions we make. And when we do this, you start hearing that we're not just talking about identity, which is about me, but we start thinking about we identity, where we can boldly say that we are a place where everyone belongs. We are a place where everyone can thrive. And by thriving, they give University of Bradford their best. Thank you very much for listening. I'll stop sharing now.
Thank you very much for the excellent presentation, Professor Archibong. And I now understand why you got so many awards for your leadership for transforming the higher education ecosystem. I think I would like to pick out some of the points that you have mentioned. One is that gender equity is about systemic approach, and it has to be done on holistically. So it's a whole systems approach. So that's one. And when you say whole system approach, it means embedding gender equity concept into everything that we do at the university and also at all levels. That's the second thing that I learned. Third is that it's not about identity, but it's about identity. And when we are doing the activities, it is about gender specific, but at the same time, intersectionality as well. I'm sure people would be interested to learn more about what is Athena Swan, because some of us are not familiar with the Athena Swan. But, with this, I think I have to manage the time very well. We have about 11 minutes for the Q&A. And I have one question actually in the chat box. And that one question is regarding Professor Pinet's presentation, which mentions about child care support. And you all talk about, the supports that needs to be at the university. The question asks, how do you, can you give the example of the child care support or other kinds of support at your university, how it's done? So I'm not so sure who wants to go first. So the direct question is asking, can I ask our panelists if there are examples you can share from your universities so that people can be less worried about taking care of the young children. Yes, please. Professor Archibong.
Yeah, I think I can start. At the University of Bradford, we have a nursery, and that nursery is to support our staff and students and other members of our local community do use the nursery as well. I think as a university that really looks after people, we do think about those with caring responsibilities as well. So when we are looking at flexible working, we insist that managers should also listen to women and men who have caring responsibilities. And we know that we are in a world now where people are sandwiched between caring for children and caring for older family members. So at the university, we're very astute to take that into consideration when managers are looking at work generally, and also for students. We have a core working hour arrangements because we want people to be able to drop kids in school. So at the university, we frown at very early meetings so that people who have to drop their children in schools can be back on time to do things with everybody else. So you'll hear some people saying our core working hours, or many teams will have local arrangements where they do things between about 9:30 and maybe allow colleagues to go off and pick kids in school about 4 p.m.
Thank you very much. So make this support is to try to make the work more flexible and accommodate the flexible timing as well for the person who has to be responsible for care work. Any other university or institutions you want to share? Yes, please, Professor Iwata, please.
Yeah. In Japan, it's a terrible situation now. So actually, unfortunately, it's not so popular to have a child during the student in university. So actually, this kind of child care center is not introduced in our university, but especially for their parents. And the Japanese society itself doesn't welcome that student have a child during the university side, and maybe that issue will disturb the female student to go to the graduate school because their life plan is delayed because of the 2 years or 5 years study more in university. So that's a terrible traditional mindset in Japan, I think. But in university, we try to care about the young faculties, of course. So we try to finish your meeting at least 5 p.m. to pick up the child, or there is a governmental support, financial support to care about the children's center. So yeah, that kind of support only.
Okay, so the physical structure is not there, but at least they are trying to have a system that is more accommodating for female who has to take care of the care work. Professor Gaisch, do you have any example, or you? Yeah, please.
Yes, I told you that we have these 4 different campuses, and so we are dislocated at many different places. So given that we don't have a huge size, we are around 6,000 students, it's not necessary, we can't really have this one nursery place because it's about 200 to 300 kilometers apart. So that is one reason why we don't have it institutionalized. However, we very much welcome students getting babies, and we often have that. And basically, each degree program director handles it differently. So we had classes where students brought the babies with them, and teachers kind of even keeping them up. So we kind of this personalized solutions, and I think it runs really smoothly. So we very much appreciate that.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Gaisch. Actually, there is another question in the chat box, and I think that would be last question, but I also curious as a leaders as well. So the question reads like this: what actions can leaders take to ensure that inclusion is practiced daily, not just stated in the policy? So how do you ensure the policy is not evaporated? Sometimes you have great policy, but not practiced. So that's one question. My question to you is that, have you ever come across the resistance and how you overcome that, in your work as a leaders? So I think it's for all of you. So who would like to take the challenge first? How do you make sure it's going practice?
Yeah.
And how do
Maybe
you
I
overcome the
just
resistance? Yes,
I
please,
just
Professor
start very
Guy.
quickly. When I conceived the head wheel, that was basically because of the resistance. You have so many people that tell you that gender sensitive language is one thing, but it's not really important. So the head wheel all at once had these different entry points. So you could actually argue diversity is important because interdisciplinary approach, and then gender equality comes into place. Or you could tell them that it's because of institutional diversity, and then gender equality comes to place. So basically, resistance was huge, and there is really no. It would be denying to say that it will all run smoothly. I think the biggest thing is that really top down, so that really management really needs to take it seriously, because otherwise it's all paper. It's all paper, and paper, you can write whatever. If not, management cares for it and to be implemented. All the measures that you can take can be nice, but if they don't really take it seriously, no one really will.
Thank you. Yes, please, Professor Archibong.
Yeah, I mean, if you are in this work and you don't face resistance, then there's a problem. People are just hiding. Exactly. So sometimes I appreciate when people resist, and sometimes I want them to be open about it, but you also need to learn how to manage subtle resistance as well. So what's the best way of doing it? I think I have a style which is about accepting that when people have the capability, understanding, awareness, they will know things. So I spend a lot of time just sitting next to people. So I use the sitting next to nearly approach, which is just accepting that we will get it wrong and that people resist when they are not sure about why we have it. So always reminding people about the business benefits of doing things, but above all, think about individual and humanity basis of doing these things. So that does help, but it doesn't clear the resistance. So I don't want to sit here and tell people that you will not face it. You will face it, and there will be two types. They're going to be the ones in your face and the others that you need a PhD to unravel. In terms of leaders and leadership involvement and making sure that gender equity is not just in our policies, but we live the gender equity in institutions. I think the big thing for me is, how are you making your leaders visible around this agenda? So it shouldn't just be left to the few women on the senior management team. It should be an activity that all senior leaders are visibly pushing and being involved in. So at the University of Bradford, every senior leader, every senior management team member has got responsibility for an aspect of EDI. A lot of people are challenging me because our gender equality champion is a man, and I've been asked to consider making that person, making the advocate for gender equality to be a woman. And my argument is, I think as women, we are self-advocating, we are activists in our own rights, but we do need to build allies. We do need to have other people to support this agenda. So how are you building those allies? What work are you doing with those allies? How do you help other people around the allies to know that they will slip, they will get it wrong, they will use the bad language, they will be awkward in doing this work, so that we are all confidently helping each other. When mistakes are made, we can get out of it. But the big picture for me is that we do need to really push the accountability. Why is it that when somebody is involved in financial impropriety, we get up and do something about it? But if somebody sexually discriminates or is misogynistic to the extent that we are able to label it, nothing gets done. So when are we going to call things out? So it's about having this balance of carrot and stick approach, where you're encouraging, supporting, developing, and giving people the confidence to get involved in the work. But when things are wrong, we need to call it out. And I'm not saying that we should be sacking people for doing those bad things, but we can actually help them to grow. But if they refuse to, then just as we would manage financial impropriety, we should also be thinking about what we do when people blatantly refuse to respect gender equity.
Thank you very much. Just wonder if other two panelists want to jump in this question. Yes,
Well,
Professor Pinet, please.
I probably have it easy here because I I don't feel that there's so much resistance in my university. In fact, we encourage women in leadership position too. For example, my department, we're trying to encourage some of the female faculty member to become head of the department, but they just kind of turn it down. But we keep asking all the time, and I think as far as the atmosphere in my university, um, we don't have problems with discriminations and things like that. But the problem that we have is, I think, the awareness of equity and equality. This part, they can't tell the difference. So we think that, okay, we don't see genders. Okay, anyone can do anything. We don't say, oh, we discriminate women or anything like that. But they don't have this goal to promote women, to make it more inclusive. I think that's the problem that we have. Not resistance, but the awareness of what gender equity really means. So I think that's the room that we have to work on. That's like something, a big problem. But I mean, a lot of people, they just feel like, oh, we already give them all the, opportunities and everything. But I think the understanding is not full. So that's my part here. And my university is like this. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Professor Pinet. I think it's very interesting comment, and there are a lot more to discuss. Professor Iwata, yes, please.
So thank you. So in our university, actually we have the strategy for the admission scheme, the only female targeted admission scheme. That kind of strategy is for the few years before, there were some opposite, of course, against to that policies. They don't understand exactly the differences between the equity and equality, maybe. So, yeah. But recent years, our leader, the president of SIT, every year push the message to the newcomers, both of the students and the faculty members, about how diversity is important for the driver of the innovation in engineering fields. So that kind of message every year is important. And actually, I am the first vice president in our university. So the first, female in the leadership position. So that kind of performance is also important, I think. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That is very practical. So be the role model for yourself and also keep reminding people why it is important to have diversity and inclusivity. Actually, there are two more questions in the chat box, but I think we run out of time. So maybe if you have one sentence, if you want to leave anything for the audience. So you can, I'll give you 30 seconds to think about it. And whoever is ready, you can have one sentence to end this International Women's Day week. So
Okay,
please.
I would like to end because it was asked about this invited to the party, and my solution would be it's the sense of belonging. If there are around 30% of people that are the same in the room, I feel that I belong. I feel that I'm safe, that I can say something, because it's a lot about power. And you can say that, of course, it's all equal, but women often, if they are the only in the room, they feel that they don't belong. And that's a huge issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, one sentence. Anyone wants to end? Yes, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
I think sensitivity is the key. We have to be sensible to other people's need and understand them. More than one sentence, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Thank you very much. Yes, Professor Iwata.
Yeah, so thank you very much for today. Actually, this is the first time to join this kind of Women's Days event, but to understand and to know about the situation in other university or in other countries is very important to us because the situation is very different. And Japan is have to progress more. So thank you very much for today.
Thank you. Professor Archibong, please.
Okay, one sentence. I think the one sentence would be, this is not about singling out women. Gender equity is about all of us. When it works for one party, it works for all. It's about engaging everyone.
Wow, thank you very much. I think this is my great honor to moderate these sessions, and I have learned a lot. And as Professor Iwata said, I hope today is enriching because we learn from each other. And of course, things are different from one country to another, one society to another's, one university to another's, but we can still learn from each other. So congratulations to all of us. And like you said, make it accountable is a we identity, create a sense of belongings. And I would like to, with this, hand the floor back to our MC, please. Kubia.
Thank you very much, Professor Romyen, for you're the wonderful moderator for us today. Thank you very much once again. So, before we end our session today, we have just like a small evaluation form that we would love you to kind of like help evaluate our event for today. So please feel free to scan the QR code here, and then there are only 3 questions. And we would love to hear from you. How's the event today? And what is the next topic that you want to hear from the WTUN or hear from KMUTT? We will try to make this topic that you are interested in possible in the next webinar. So leave it here. So this is the conclusion of today's webinar, and we wish you a lovely morning, lovely evening, and lovely afternoon wherever you are. So thank you very much for joining us today, and ขอบคุณค่ะ. So see you next time.
All right, bye-bye.